Welcome to Chromatic Counsel podcast, the podcast where law, leadership, and color collide. I'm your host, Kerry Heaps, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today. I have an exciting show lined up for you. One quick announcement for those of you who are in Florida, and if you're also licensed in Texas or vice versa, our Digital Tells webinar is duly accredited now for CLE credit, not just in Florida, but also in Texas. So this is a great way to do one class and knock out credits for Texas and get tech and general credit in Florida. I have a link in the show notes below, so you can click on that and go directly there and get your credits done quickly. So today I have an exciting guest. Today on the show, I am joined by Anthony May, a digital marketing leader with over 2 decades of experience driving innovation and AI-powered strategies for the legal industry. Anthony's helped law firms secure high-profile clients. He's overseen major digital initiatives generating millions in revenue and has led teams that transform online presence into measurable results. His experience spans SEO, SEM, content strategy, and website optimization, all aimed at connecting firms with the clients they need and elevating brand visibility. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Kerry. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're excited to have you here. I was checking out your website a little bit when we initially talked, and I was like, "Wow, this is really it's really cool and something that attorneys really need, and I think attorneys really struggle with on the marketing end of things." So, I would love it if you could just share with the listening audience, if you don't mind, just a little bit about your journey, kind of what led you into digital marketing to begin with, and what drew you specifically to service law firms and attorneys.
So I started when I was, it seems like forever ago, when I was young. I started a business when I was about 20. Started it struggling a little bit, couldn't really realize what the power of digital marketing really was. And to be honest with you, it was kind of the wild, wild west during that time. Um, I, I very quickly got adapted and then initiated into digital marketing itself and really found the power of it. And to go ahead and just give percentages and numbers, the business I owned grew by 3,000% yearly.
Mhm.
And it was even hard to go ahead and keep up. When I sold the business about 10 years ago, had monopolies all throughout the state of Arizona and other places, got to work in some really, really fantastic, huge areas. And I was really excited. From that point, though, I was recruited into legal. I got asked to get into legal. And I really wanted to kind of flex muscle and just go ahead and say, if I can do this, legal is much more difficult. How much more harder is it going to be? And from that point, when I started to do that, I really realized that not only was it difficult, but it was calling my name. Um, and being in the vertical of legal, it excited me not only from the attorney side and the law firm side, but also the client side also itself. And also, I saw the potential of what it could possibly be across the world and the direction we were going, and I was excited to be a part of it.
Wonderful. And I always like to know what everybody's story is. I know, like, because you and I are kind of in the same, I don't want to say the same vertical, but we both market to law firms and
Mhm.
attorneys. I specifically for CLE. And I know a lot of people always ask me the same thing, like, how did you get started doing that? Why are you, and it's almost like sometimes you find what you are really good at, that there is that one market sector that really struggles with it or really needs whatever it is that you're offering. um, I want to talk for a moment about AI because AI, everybody's talking about it, even outside the legal sector. I actually had a conversation the other day with a colleague, and she was taking some classes on AI, and she was sharing some of the things that she was learning, and just kind of it's just a whole new ball game. But you've implemented AI powered solutions in digital marketing. So, how do you see AI changing the way that law firms attract their up and coming or new clients or prospects? What do you see the biggest change?
So I'm going to take you a little bit back for this piece. Back in about 2017, 2018, I was at a legal party and I was with Robert Schulman, some other big attorneys. And they were all talking around the table and having a good time. But each time somebody would actually leave the table, they'd go to the bathroom or, do whatever they need to do. They'd come back and say, Anthony, I got this marketing issue. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And I'm like, well, this is the reason why, you're not getting the right clients, you're not doing this, or this needs to be implemented, this needs to be implemented. But it was all around the same piece. And
Mhm.
all really had to do around is that I've got X amount of billable hours and I want to fill those billable hours with the clients that I want to service. And that was the biggest piece. And I struggled with that because not only on the side of the attorney side was that happening, but also on the plaintiff side. And I could never, and I've worked and I've actually been able to hone it down a little more and weave it out and carve it a little bit right here and make it work for a lot of law firms. But it wasn't until AI actually came to surface, and I want to say about 2022, 2023 is when it really started to go ahead and get some legs underneath it. And then I
Mhm.
saw the ability of, hey, this is how we need to go ahead and go forward because you ask what's going to happen in regards to law firms and AI in the future. We are going to see a massive difference in regards to how we do intakes now, how we get clients now, and what we do with them compared to even 2, 3 years from now. It's going to be a dramatic difference. And if we're not on board, we're going to be left behind for sure.
And I've even heard some attorneys talk about like I don't want to say it's a fear, but it's almost like, hey, I don't think this is ever going to happen, where it's going to go a step further from marketing to people are going to be using AI to replace the actual attorney. Do you think that could be coming at some point, like maybe down the road? Or do you think that's kind of, no, that's probably not going to happen? It's probably people are just talking about it.
I really don't think so right now, and there's a reason behind that. There's a huge amount of education behind being an attorney. We all know that.
Right.
But there's also an art to it too.
Mhm.
Because no matter what, there's 1,000 people that graduate this year from in Ohio and they're going to practice a type of law. Well, if that's the case, they should all be equal and they should all go ahead and have the same record and they should all have this, this, and this. It's not that. It's not just the war itself, it's how you execute it. And
Mhm.
everybody a lot of times forgets that not only is this a a purpose in regards to how your knowledge, but also what is the art and actually you do and actually creating the scenario and actually convincing a jury or convincing a judge that this is the way to go. And that
Mhm.
part right there is going to be a little, and it may happen, but it's definitely not going to happen now or in the next couple of years that I see it for sure.
Yeah. And what do you think are the biggest misconceptions with marketing a law firm online? Because I think a lot of people they know what search engine optimization is, but what do you feel most attorneys are really missing the boat on?
Well, just like a successful law firm, it's not built overnight. It's a lot of work, and making sure to go ahead and get it there is a lot of that work. We just like attorney doesn't grab a client and say, "Hey, we're going to trial tomorrow. I hope I've got everything. We're all set." This is the
Yeah.
same idea with SEO, SEM, AI, and social media. All those pieces are crafted not only with consistent aspects to it, but also at the same time making sure to maintain it, making sure to go ahead and answer reviews, replying to people, making sure that how is their status in regards to AI? Is it having the correct information? Is the information on their website correct? And with all those pieces with time, they compound. And then from there, you go ahead and get to that number one position. You get to that AI search result. You get to social media where people are talking about you in a positive aspect. And those pieces right there are the most important things to remember that in SEO, SEM, social media, AI, it's not overnight, just like your practice wasn't built overnight, but with time and consistency and actually showing the client exactly who you are, what the firm is, and how good you guys are. That is actually the difference between being number one and being on the third page of Google.
Now, you've helped a lot of firms secure like high profile clients and even generate like tens of millions of dollars in revenue. What's the secret to connecting those law firms with the right audience online?
You kind of already said it right there, the right audience online. So when we go ahead and we're marketing, and there's a lot of different channels we can talk about. We can talk about this all day, but making sure you're there at the right time for the right client is the first step. But also making sure that they feel comfort for whatever it is. And maybe it's an IP issue, maybe it's a criminal defense issue, or maybe it's a personal injury issue. And we can go through every vertical and I can go ahead and name each one of those pieces. But making sure they go ahead and they say, not only is that person speaking to me, I feel that they know exactly what I not want, what I need, and how to go ahead and get there with success. Those pieces right there are so crucial. And with that, and the same breath, I'm going to go ahead and say also that then when they call the firm, they're responsive and they're able to go ahead and talk to somebody. And a lot of times in law firms, we always forget that piece is that, yeah, we got to go ahead and fill out an initiate or a intake form, but that's just the first step. When they call up, they're talking to the person, it's a person friendly. Is a person go ahead and making sure that they know that they feel their pain. Those pieces, and when they call back again, are they going to go ahead and be able to talk to them, or are they going to have to wait for 2 weeks to go ahead and get called back?
And are you finding like that last piece of where they've done all the work online, they've got leads coming in? Are you finding that last piece is what is killing a lot of leads for firms because they may have just an answering service or it may be a voice that's going to voicemail and they're not calling back in time. I'm just curious which piece of it is falling off, for their leads or where they could improve more.
I'm going to tell you that's probably the biggest issue I've seen at every single firm that I've ever worked with. And I wish that was not the case.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a matter of attorneys not wanting to work on it because I get emails at 2 a.m. every day because I know that's what they're doing. I got free time. It's 2 a.m. I'm going to sleep for an hour and I'll wake up at 4. But
Yeah.
that's what it is. But yes, that is the most crucial piece because as in everything, in every purchase we make, that initial contact and making sure that we feel safe with the decision we've made because everybody's buying a product and we're buying a service from a law firm saying represent me, make
Mhm.
sure I get the best aspect of actually your work and make sure that we're somewhat successful in what we do is the most important piece and making sure that you not only you calling people back but having the right people on the phone calling them is super important. And you think, do I want to spend the money on that? You can't afford not to spend the money on that.
Mhm. And do you find that most attorneys are getting like if they're working with you and those leads are coming in, are they coming in like during business hours? Or are they coming in after hours? Do you see a mix of that? Or like even like you said, like 2 o'clock in the morning? Are you seeing various times for potential prospects?
Yes, we definitely do. I'm going to tell you, it depends on what the vertical is and
Mhm.
also what that time frame is. I mean, go in personal injury, usually in the mornings and the evenings, and that's when they call because maybe they're at work. With IPs, this is usually during the middle of the day. Criminal defense can go ahead and range all day and all
24/7, right?
night.
Yeah.
But if you're a criminal defense attorney, you know that going on in. And
Yeah.
you need to go ahead and stagger your employees to go ahead and answer those phone calls. Because I guarantee you, if somebody got a DUI and they're willing to go ahead and pay that cash up front, or they got some issue that they do in regards to a battery issue, or maybe another white collar issue, they are wanting relief right now. They don't even really want to necessarily even they just want to talk to somebody saying, "Hey, do you understand my pain?" Yep,
Mhm.
don't worry. And not only that, Jeffrey Jones, our attorney, knows exactly your pain, and he's going to go ahead and get with you. He's not here today right now because he just got done answering emails at 2 a.m. and it's 3. It's just 1 hour sleep. But we'll go ahead and get to it about 5 or 6.
Oh my gosh. So, in your experience, what metrics do you think matter most for measuring the success of a digital marketing campaign for attorneys?
Okay, there's going to be a couple here, and we already touched on one a little bit.
Hmm.
Qualified lead rate. That's going to be super important. There's many times where I've gone consulting into a firm and they say, "Hey, I want to, I want to go ahead and I want to be number one for accidents." I said, "Yeah, I understand, but accidents can mean a wide range of things, and they're going to go ahead and have a gazillion calls, and somebody stubbed their toe back in 1996 and didn't report it to anybody, and they have an ingrown toenail now, and that's the person they're getting. Maybe what you want, but I doubt it."
Yeah.
But so the qualified lead rate, which then we go ahead and we lead into the attorney acceptance rate, which are going
Hmm.
to be hand in hand. And then that third part that we already talked about, the callback time, and rate. And I know these aren't great acronyms for anything, but these are the pieces that really, really matter. Getting the right person, making sure the attorney's on board with it, and making sure that they actually can get a hold of somebody, talk to somebody when they need to.
So for the attorneys that are tuning in, they're listening to the episode now. Maybe it's a solo attorney and they're like, yeah, I really need to increase my online presence, but I just don't know where to start. Like, what would you say to them? What would be one of the first things they should probably do if that's something that they're wanting to improve?
Well, no matter what, if you have that mindset, you're already in the right boat. So let's go ahead and just put that forward first. But you have to think of this as your most important asset that you have that you own. Making sure that your digital assets are the most important aspect you have because they are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Mhm.
They're bringing in the leads and they're making sure to go ahead and to get you actually put food on your table. So with that, you need to go ahead and not only make that a priority in your business model, but make sure it's actually one of the highest priorities in your model. And yes, I know you're a solo attorney, and I know that yes, you're just starting out, but starting on it is better than doing nothing at all. And with that, like we said, it compounds, and you may not be doing the things correctly, but as soon as you can get money on board, as soon as you can go ahead and get those intakes, invest and actually either one or two people that can actually that have a record of doing the right thing for the right firm because that's just as important. Just like a good attorney or a bad attorney, you want to make sure you have the right people working on it and they can actually move the needle for you. And if you can do that, you're not going to be a solo attorney for long.
And so, digital marketing trends the next 3 to 5 years, because we live in fast-paced times, things are changing, and I just think too, just where we're at as a not just a country, but the world as a whole, everything's changing
Mhm.
so quickly, more so than what it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So, digital marketing trends that legal professionals should be paying attention to in the next 3 to 5 years. And I also want to throw out there to kind of piggyback on what you just said. For those attorneys who are like, well, should they be writing blog? Should they have a blog still? Like, are blogs still relevant? Are creating content online? Does it need to be on social media? Do you have any? Does that fit into the next 3 to 5 years?
Let's think about this in more or less a much more grandiose scale. What do we go ahead and a lot of the intakes we're doing right now are based off an AI aspect or based off a Google aspect. And also social
Mhm,
media is a part of that. But if we look at it, it all works together. But
mhm,
with that, you ask, are blog posts still important? Are social media still important? Are these pieces important? All that does is it brings more relevance to what you are. You need to go ahead and not only share the information, but give it out. And if you are using AI to go ahead and help these pieces, and a lot of us are, you need to go ahead and make sure that it's not the same thing that's being spit out on this website, this website, this website, this website. Because we don't want the same thing just basically with a different nail polish color on it. We want to go ahead and have unique experiences, the human element. Those pieces are super important. And not only that is that when people are reading these pieces, they can feel them, they can see them, and they know them. They may not go ahead and say, "Oh, that's AI," but a lot of times they can go ahead and they can feel, "Oh, that's not talking to me. That's
mhm,
not making my heart go. This is where I want to go."
mhm.
And I'm sorry, what was the other parts of that question? Because I'm sorry.
So like with blog post and with, even having a blog
Mhm.
or, having like, does everything need to be on, do I need to start doing short form videos on TikTok? And again, these are probably questions I'm sure attorneys ask themselves when they're faced with it. Like I try to really promote for the attorneys. I'm like, get interviewed, get on podcast.
Mhm.
You have that gives you that content. And I agree with you. I think original content a lot of times when I personally am writing articles and I'm submitting them to different outlets, that is one of the first things they say is this can't appear somewhere else. This needs to be original content for our publication, for our readership.
Yep.
And I think people need to do that across the board. So, I mean, do you feel that, do blogs still have a place? Does content still have a place? Do they need to be putting time and effort into that in the next 3 to 5 years?
So yes, and I'm going to answer. You had kind of two questions in there. I'm going to answer each one. Videos, blog posts. This also comes down to what's your target?
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you that if I am trying to, let's say we're working on something for a Curtiva toe,
Mhm.
chances are I am not going to be posting stuff on TikTok because that's not the age band that I'm looking for. This is more going to be a Facebook. So you need to go ahead and not only know the client, but actually know where they're hanging out at. Just
Mhm.
like if I'm trying to get attorneys, guess what? I'm not going to probably go to, over here to Mimi over here to go ahead on the social media site over there. I'm gonna probably stick in LinkedIn or maybe actually go to Match Towards Made Perfect, whatever that piece may be. I need to
Mhm.
go ahead and make sure that I am actually in the same area as they are. Um, and then we also talk about again blog posts, creating content. Those are still very important, but I'm gonna actually add a piece to that I think a lot of attorneys oversee, or not oversee, they forget or they don't realize that they need to go ahead and communicate to the client on their level. Clients don't want to go ahead and talk to somebody that is way above or way below. So using words like estoppel or something like that in your wording on your website, it's all it's going to do is annihilate those people, and they do not feel like we're talking about. They want to feel like they can connect. They don't feel like they can connect. They want to know that, hey, you've got to go ahead and have the power to go ahead and do this, but they want to feel you. So yes, blog postings, social media postings on your website, all still very important, but refine it to make sure you're actually talking to the person.
Yeah. And as you know, the show is called Chromatic Counsel. Now, I normally ask my guest about what colors they are wearing, for influence and everything, but I wanted to change it a little bit with you and ask you, in your experience, so have you found that certain colors perform better for law firm websites or like a legal marketing campaign, in terms of conversion or engagement? Like, for blue, I'm noticing you have blue in your background, blue in your shirt. I'm wearing blue today as well, just a darker color or darker shade of blue. But it's our trust building color. But do you implement that in what you're doing?
That is where I'm wearing blue today to go ahead and kind of soothe and make everything calm. That's honestly that's the reason why. But it also depends. Yes, I think colors are very important, just like everything. Just like we talked about how we're speaking to the person, colors reflect that too.
Hmm.
And it really comes down to the vertical you're in also. Talk about personal injury. They're panicked. They don't know what to do. You need to have soothing colors on your
Yeah.
website. It needs to go ahead and just go, oh. And I know it seems not is not relevant, but kind of a little piece that we're missing. But that little piece makes all the difference in the world because I've seen people do it. I've actually gone and I've asked people to go ahead and fill out forms just so I can watch them how they do it, and I can
Hmm.
see them actually. They go to the site, they go ahead and you can see the steam kind of being let out. If I've said, hey, think you're in a car accident, and this, but also the same thing for, let's say, IP, maybe criminal, maybe estate. You need to go ahead and make sure what is your client and what is their overall want or need. Those are the colors that you usually go with to go ahead and work on those aspects. So
Hmm.
maybe in regards to IP, you're working around businesses, money, and you need to go ahead and make sure that reflects those on the website that, hey, this is my main concern, trying to go ahead and save the business, fix the business, get the money that you actually deserve. In
Hmm.
regards to personal injury, I need you to go ahead and feel calm, cool, collected. Know that I'm actually working with you. And yes, money is an important aspect. We're going to go ahead and we'll get to that. But you feel safe with this piece. So
Hmm.
each vertical is very different, but at the same time, they all have the same driving force. Make sure that the client feels welcome and at home.
Hmm. I love that. So, and thank you for sharing that. But I had to mention about the blue because I love the photo in the background. That's an awesome photo. So if you could just give one piece of advice to, young marketers who are trying to lead in industries like law, could be in, or in other industries, what would that be? What would be that one piece of advice you'd say to them?
This is not a vertical. This industry is not instant gratification. This industry is about staying consistent and making sure that you actually show up on time where you need to be. And by saying that showing up on time is that you're there and you're implementing the pieces that you're willing to do. And we're not looking for huge celebrations every day. What we're looking for is I moved this piece, I moved this piece, I moved this piece, because that builds that foundation that actually your digital marketing aspects need to be. And this is not for just beginning legal marketing. I have to remind for legal marketing teams that are 30, 40 people, the same exact thing. I know you guys want to go ahead and have something go viral, or you want to go ahead and see your impressions shoot up, 20,000% overnight. Don't look for those pieces, because if you do, you will never be rewarded the way you want to. You're looking for the gradual, consistent climb up to go ahead and make it so those gradual, consistent climbs up, those are what make the difference, because you stay there. Those spikes, they come just down just as fast as they go up. And
Mhm.
I can't tell not only digital marketers, but law firms that don't look for the quick way to go ahead and try to make this work. Look for what's going to happen over time, what's going to be consistent, and what's going to bring value to your consumer. And if you can do that, that will bring value and success to the firm itself.
And I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I was talking with a colleague about they were doing a passive income product and they're like, yeah, I've created this, so I don't have to do any more work. And I'm like, you do realize you still have to consistently market that. That's how the money comes in. It's even though it's considered passive, you still have to do the marketing. It's not like, hey, I just created this and everybody comes running. I that still blows my mind with the whole passive income thing because I'm like, you're still gonna have to market it. You still gotta do it. It's that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, Kerry, if it was honest, I mean, I'm still looking for the working 3 hours a year and getting paid a couple $1 million a year, but it hasn't happened yet. But if you
Yeah.
find it, please let me know.
Darn, I know, right? And you let me know too, right? Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, this has been amazing. Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I do want to ask you just in closing, is there anything you'd like to share with everybody? Anything coming up that you have going on at your firm? Anything at all that you'd like to kind of talk about or any new services coming out?
Well, as you can always find me at neanattorney.net. And we are actually onboarding right now some new attorneys and new places, because actually our demand is actually outpacing the amount of attorneys that we have right now. And we are not actually, there isn't, with everything actually we have, you don't have to actually even buy anything. It's only the clients you sign up. And if you don't like them, you just say, hey, we don't want them. And so we do a lot of the intakes aspects parts of it. And there's an instant direct connect from when they click the button from the submission form to actually calling the law firm itself. We're super excited about the trajectory and actually how successful it's been. But this couldn't have been done without AI. And I'm so glad that not only do I execute exactly what I say, but this has actually come a lot farther, a lot faster than I thought it ever possibly could. I'm excited for the future, and I'm also excited for law firms out there that actually get on board with
Mhm.
AI and want to make sure to go ahead and grow their firm the way they should.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you want to get in touch with Anthony, just click on the link in the show notes below to connect with him directly. This is a wrap for this episode of Chromatic Counsel. And if you are an attorney that would like to be a guest on the show, there's a link in the show notes that you can fill out. It's just a quick form so you can be considered as a guest. We would love to have you. And if you liked this episode, if what Anthony shared with you resonates with you, please click on the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel so you know when we go live with new episodes. And I hope you can tune in next time. And as always, I am wishing you continued success.